Hi, welcome everybody to the Paula Obi show. It looks like we might be having some technical difficulties. Dr. Obi was here and it looks like she kind of popped off screen. So I just want to give it maybe a minute or two to kind of see if she gets back on to see what we got going on. Let's see. You know how this is, technology, you think it's going to go your way and then all of a sudden it just doesn't. So if y'all could just bear with us just a minute and we'll see if she'll jump back on because we got a very powerful show going on today. We're going to talk about finances and we're going to talk about how we can make our money grow. And it's a show you just don't want to miss because a lot of people are kind of intimidated, I want to say. They're intimidated about finances and they don't know where to start. So this is why we're here today to kind of just go over, where to start, how your money works. You all heard that saying, let your money work for you. So this is what we're going to try and get you to do today. And I think we have Dr. Paula back. Yes, she is back. So she's going to take over the show.
Well, hello, everybody. Hello. Technology has its own kind of way of dealing, with life. So we just flowed and no one knows what to do. But here I am. Thank you for joining us tonight. I am Dr. Paula Obi, and you have joined us for the Power of Transformation broadcast. And I'm so excited to be here. And the person that's a special guest, she's really not a special guest. She is we work together on this, and she's just jumped right in there. And as I was trying to get back on, and yes, I'm excited about tonight. Tonight we have a very special topic. We're still discussing finances, right? So if you need to go back and look at the other three broadcasts because they're jam-packed with good information. And this one is going to be just as powerful or even more powerful. So you know what we do every single Wednesday at about 7 o'clock on the Power of Transformation with Dr. Paula Obi. What we do is we text our friends and we tag them and then we actually call them as well. If we have a moment and we tell them that the power of transformation is on and they do not want to miss it, and honey, I will do the same thing. And we're going to be right back. This is going to be such a beautiful topic until neither my phone nor my laptop wants to cooperate. But we press through the hard times. And we're going to have our special guest, Noel Ramos, come in, honey, and we're going to get this show started. Hi, Noel.
Hi, Dr. Paula.
I feel like we need to take a breath because my laptop and my phone and is lifing, taking on an image of their own. I'm like, you settle down because we're going to have this conversation, whether you like it or not. We've done a great job up until this point, right?
Absolutely. I'm so glad you were able to come back. I couldn't do the show without Dr. Paula.
That's okay. Whenever that happens, I'm always going to try to come back no matter what. However, I think you probably could have done it really, 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 because you are a pro at finance and you have such a passion for it, Noel. And your eyes just glitter when you talk about money. That's very cool.
Yeah, I think, not a lot of people grew up with that silver spoon in their mouth. So, I'm no different. I grew up, very humble childhood. And so to learn these things and to learn that we could be different, that's where I nerd out and I really get excited because I want other people to know it doesn't always have to be how it was when we were young or how we were taught. There could be something different.
And you've made a difference in some lives because you made a difference in my life. And what you said last week was just so powerful. And we're going to get you to your topic. You said, our responsibility is to protect our family's legacy and to protect our own legacy. And that just resonated with me. That's your passion. And I'm so glad to be partnering with you. And you're going to be around for a little bit more. We're going to have you deliver a lot more, because now that we know that what your passion is, and we can work as a team. Oh, honey, you coming out from behind that screen. We've got people who need what we have to offer in the language and in the way we are speaking it, because it's non-threatening. Don't you think? It's just a beautiful way to talk to people.
I agree. Too many times, I think when you're sitting with an advisor or somebody in the financial industry, they use words that just whoop. And I don't know if it's intentional. I don't know if they just want to make themselves feel smarter, or, they're trying to make sure that the client makes sure they think they know what they're talking about. I want to make sure I understand the way I understand. So I'm going to break it down the way it's simplest for me. And I think simple sometimes.
I don't necessarily know that it's simple. I think it's direct and to the point, but it's in a language where people can really connect with you. And really, that's what's key. If a person walks out the door and they can remember that you are approachable, and they remember to have taken great notes, and they can go back and actually start putting a plan in place, then that's where I call that success.
Right. And I agree. It's all in who you feel comfortable with.
Absolutely. So if I walk away from a meeting and I'm saying to myself, that was complicated, and I have all these negative feelings, and money is not a fun topic to discuss with some people, because everybody wasn't born with financial acuity. I think about my childhood. I'm like, Lord have mercy. How do we make it? Oh my goodness. But somehow we're learning, and this is our passion. I'm loving it. And we talked about some really intense things last time. We talked about how to protect ourselves with insurances. So that's always a pretty heavy topic. But tonight we're going to discuss something a little bit lighter, and more as important, though, but just a little lighter, don't you think?
I wouldn't necessarily classify it as a little bit lighter, but it's all a big circle. So it goes back to, in episode 1, we talked about making sure you have that budget in place, because if you don't have that budget in place, this right here, it's not going to help, because you got to know how much you can start putting towards your retirement and start putting towards stuff that, is, like you said, going to change your family legacy. So, yeah.
Yeah, I like it. And what's really important is that we are just an email away. Definitely you are right now. Just an email away. So if someone has questions, they can always call, send you emails, ask questions. The main thing, and I've talked to a couple of people, the main thing is just finding someone that you can really sit down and say, look, this is what's in my head. This is what's going on in my life. How do I move forward? And we definitely are there. So let's talk about, what's our topic tonight, Noel?
So tonight we're going to probably talk about something I think most advisors feel that should be taught in high school. So Paul, I'm just going to ask you a general question. Most haven't heard of it because, once again, it's not taught in schools. Have you ever heard of the rule of 72?
No.
Okay. So the rule of 72 is a mathematical equation formula that Albert Einstein came up with. And so it is a quick way to just estimate the number of years required to double your investment sums at any rate of return. We're going to go deeper into this. I know it's a little confusing. We're going to dive deeper. So
no, I love it. I love it. And I'm trying to figure out why I don't remember this from my business class, but this is a financial principle.
Right. And I don't know if they teach that in business class.
I don't think I would have remembered it, because, I like Albert Einstein.
And it's from Albert Einstein. That would be something you would remember, right?
I would remember that. So this is a great financial conversation. So, all right, you and Al get together now.
Yeah, me and Al getting together. So me and Al want to help you to understand how money can grow over time. This is not going to be something, well, I'm going to get quick rich scheme. This isn't something, where it's going to be a quick payday. This is why, we start talking about this now when, you're younger. You're never too old, but when you're younger, this is great things to put in place. So what is the rule of 72? Like I said before, it's just a simple formula that estimates how long it's going to take your investment to double. And that depends on the rate of return. You know how the bank sometimes gives you a certain percentage in your savings account?
Yeah, well, yeah.
If you want to call it that.
Yeah, I was going to say, if you want to call it, yes. The answer is yes.
Yes, if you want to call it that. So the formula basically is 72 divided by your interest rate, and that's going to tell you how long it's going to take your money to double. So we have an example here. If your interest rate is 8%, so 72 divided by 8, that means every 9 years, your money's going to double. So if you start off with $10, in 9 years, what are you going to have? You're going to have $20 because that's going to take you. So every 9 years, your money's going to double.
So I'm still stuck on the 8% interest. So that's why I couldn't answer the question.
If you have certain funds that
Right.
if you're growing at an 8% interest rate, you're not going to get that from the bank at all.
I was still stuck. You see how we have to have financial counselors just bring us back. I'm like, 8%. What was that?
It's just
right. Right. That's a great
We're going
example.
to go deeper. We're going to go deeper. And hopefully by the time we're done, you'll understand it a little better. A lot of the times when I'm sitting one-on-one in front of clients, I like to make them write it down on an old-fashioned pen and paper. So that way you can see it, you understand it a little bit better. But I think this is still going to be good. But I am going to ask you to have to do some homework. You're going to have to, or not homework, but you're going to have to do some math, Paula. So make sure you have your calculator ready, okay?
Okay. I don't have an Excel spreadsheet, so I'll do the best I can. Okay.
So, we keep talking about your legacy and we keep pounding to you, it's out of love, changing your family tree. So we're going to do the same thing with this topic as well. Why is this so important? So, we're going to talk to you about helping financial planning and understanding investment growth. It's important because, we do this, I don't think we can say this enough. We just do this out of the love for ourselves and for our family. And so this is what the banks are doing. The banks are investing your money. Did you know that, Paula? You put that money in the bank?
Absolutely. Mm-hmm.
They're not just keeping it in some magic vault and they Scrooge McDuck, swimming around in your money. They're investing your money.
Yes. They really are. As a matter of fact, that's their business model to invest. That's why they need your deposit and my deposit in order to be able to do that. Great point.
So I want to show also how, having a higher interest rate over time, how it's going to impact your money. Like I said, it's not a quick scheme, this is going to take time. So having an interest rate, it matters. So you hear of like CDs where, they have 3% that the banks offer. Is that going to keep up with inflation? Whew, not in these times.
Not right now, but that's okay.
And so our goal is to encourage that smart investing for long-term wealth building and, getting it in when you can. And the whole goal is to just start. Let that sink in.
That's been the theme, our theme from the beginning. Just start. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. This is part of that financial success plan that we've been discussing. Just start.
Mm-hmm. All right. And I think, and I was the same way. I always thought I wanted to dabble in investments and, I wanted to figure out how I can make my money work for me, but I was scared. I didn't know. And that's the problem. We're too scared because we don't know. We're not educating ourselves. So we don't know what we can do to make, you've heard that saying, make your money work for you.
Right.
This is how we do it. And if we don't know how, then we're just not going to do it. Right. So this is where we just start and we find someone that's going to educate us and make us feel more comfortable about it.
Yeah, I'm with you. And right now, it's a good time to start thinking about how to make your money grow rather than decrease. Mm-hmm. Yeah, very good.
I agree. So I don't think I can make this any bigger. I apologize. So for you at home, you can probably zoom it in a little bit. So I just want to talk about, we're not talking about starting with a huge amount of money, right? We're talking about starting with maybe $1,000. And that's where it goes important, where let's have that budget in place. Let's have our emergency fund in place. And we start doing this when we start having all our ducks in order. So we have our budget, we have our emergency savings, we have our life insurance to cover our families. Okay, now our next step is let's start taking care of ourselves. Let's start taking care of our retirement. And so, Paula, I just want you to do the math. So we talked about the rule of 72, right?
Okay, let's see. I can do this. Gotcha.
Okay, so let's do 72 divided by 3. And that is going to tell us how long it's going to take for our money to double. What did you come up with?
Hang on.
Okay.
You have to kind of wake this thing up. 24.
So say the bank is being very generous. They said, oh, Miss Paula Obi, give me
Yes.
your money and put it in our savings, and we're going to give you a rate of return of 3%. That's great. So you said 20. So we did our 72 divided by 3. That means
3.
every 24 years,
2 years.
for 24 years,
Excuse me,
that's
I'm sorry, 24 years.
24 years,
Okay.
that's going to be when our money doubles with a 3% rate of return.
Okay.
So starting off with, I have it here on the example, starting off with $1,000. So you see where the 24-year mark, we start off at $1,000. In 24 years, our money jumps to 2,000. In another 24 years, our money jumps to 4,000. Are you okay?
Okay.
Perfect. So this is why it's talking, this is why we want to educate you with interest rates matter. And so if the market cooperates, let's say, well, 3% is kind of sad. Let's try and shoot for a little bit more aggressive. Let's try to shoot for 6%. What do you think our money's going to double to, Paula? Throw a number out there.
If it's at 3, I don't know. I'm not good with math. I have to use my calculator. I have to use my Excel spreadsheet. Okay, so we're still 1,000.
Yeah. So let's just do 32, and let's divide that by 6.
Okay. See, you're really good at this. 5.3%.
I'm sorry?
5.3.
No, try again.
Divided by
6%.
Okay. 1,000. Good. Give it to me again.
So 72 divided by 6.
Thank you. 72 divided by 6%.
Just do 6. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Sorry. No wonder I was messing up. Okay. 72 divided by 6 equals 12.
So perfect. So once again, rate of return matters. So now every 12 years, our money's going to double. So look at that. So with the same initial $1,000, we haven't changed a thing. All we've changed was the rate of return we were getting, right?
Yes.
So look, now after 48 years, our money's up to $16,000 with that same initial $1,000.
Okay.
You see how your money's chugga.
I can see it's kind of chugging along and doing some things. If you can get it to do that, that's great. I can see it.
Right.
All right. I love this slide. I'm gonna have to find a way to get it bigger, but I love the slide.
Yes. And so if the market cooperates, this is how your money is growing. This is your compounding interest. This is how, just getting your money to work for you and just putting it in there and kind of forgetting about it. Of course, we want to add to it because it always helps. But if all you can start off with is $1,000, imagine if you put in if your parents put in $1,000 for you when you were born, how much it would have grown over the years.
Yeah. Yes. That's great. I'm listening with my heart and I'm listening with my ears because, the bottom line is, even though I was fiddling with the calculator, once the interest rate increased, then my rate of return increased. Right. So we don't have control over the interest rate, but if you leave it alone, sometimes it will work itself out to you will earn more than you lose. Right. That's the whole goal.
We're playing the long game with this.
The long game.
So, of course, there's different stuff for different stages of life, but this is just, a very broad view of, when we have time. We don't have time. That's a whole different story. It's a whole nother conversation we're having.
That's going to be another show. But let's just say we do have time, and we do have time. Right. And some people are planning now. So this is an opener for them. They're probably leaving it up to their employer, but however, they need to understand this as well.
Right. And this is, something similar to how, you're most everyone's familiar with like a 401k at work, like you mentioned. And this is how your 401k is working. It's getting that compounding interest, and you're putting, a little bit in every paycheck. So you're helping it grow, and you're inching it up more and more and more. And so after 20 years, hopefully you have more than $500,000 saved up. If you did it right, you're going to do better. But yeah, this is how we get it to grow. And so that's why it's important not to touch it. Have that, because look how long it's taken you to grow it, and in a blink of an eye you can just spend it all. So you have to, it's a discipline you have to try and give yourself.
Yeah, yeah. So you still want to work on having your savings account to be, your emergency fund to be separate, because you're looking at this as your long-term solution for the future.
Right. You have to have your affairs in order before you start doing this.
Right.
Because if you do not, then you still have the weight of all your debt weighing you down. You still have to worry about, where am I going to, pay this, or am I going to have enough for food? And so I just can't stress enough making sure that budget is done correctly, honestly, so that way we can get to this point where now you're dreaming again. You're having hopes, you're having dreams, because at the end of the day, when I go to retire, I don't have to worry of just, is my Social Security going to be enough?
Right. I'm loving it. And just some tips and tricks I've heard somebody say, and I've actually thought about it myself. Sometimes you save your Christmas and your birthday money.
Mm-hmm.
Those gifts unexpected gifts or whatever that someone gives you, that's a great place to, instead of spending it now, it's a great place to plan for your future. If you have your ducks in a row, it'd be great.
Oh, I agree. And just a sidebar, we have an account for our son, and I think we opened it up when he was 2 or 3 years old. And so we put a small amount. We put in $50 a month. So when he grows to be 18 or 21, hopefully it'll be a nice car or a good down payment for a house. And hopefully we're changing his way of when he grows up, and his legacy, just by doing something. And $50, that's going out. We don't go out to eat one night a week. That's taking away something else to make sure we can give to him, so it can change his life in the future. And so it's small sacrifices you may have to make and think about.
Yes, and I think you just hit the nail on the head, because I've been thinking about, you said, when I'm thinking I'm intent, I can't, wasn't doing 5 things at one time and trying to write because I want to write it down. Making the right kinds of sacrifices can pay off for you.
Mm-hmm.
Your scenario is just one. When you're making those sacrifices, I know a lot of people hear the word sacrifice and they'll say, oh, no. But when you're making those sacrifices, you're really kind of honoring yourself. The Bible says to count up the cost. That's really, and I'm really, really into using wisdom. So if I get, an extra moment or two and I'm like, okay, I'm going to just cook in tonight.
Mm-hmm.
Or I'm not going to buy those shoes, whatever it is. And I'm going to make an investment in my future. I think that's a great way to think about things. What you said was actually great. You have kids. That's an excellent example of how to prepare your children.
Exactly.
I mean,
you mentioned birthday money, and that's exactly, we give him half. Them grandparents, they've been saving all life. They got a little bit more money than we do. When they're giving him, $100 on his birthday, we're like, what?
Yes!
We'll take half, and you can have the other half, and we'll put it in a savings account, and you can spend it how you want. But this other half is going towards your investment account.
And you know what? It's really, really just music to my ears to hear that when you start early, it does make a difference. And, grandparents, they aunts and uncles, they like to spoil you. So that's a great opportunity. So you can have some now, but you're going to have a lot more later. Mm-hmm. So it's not a punishment thing. And I want to say this because I think it's really important. When we're talking about money, what you want to do is be as nice about it as you can. I remember someone who's like, oh, you're going to do it this way. You're going to do it this way. And so it kind of turned me off.
Right.
It was a turn off. And this person was really good with money, but I couldn't get past all this other stuff. You have to have the right persona when you're talking to me about my money. Mm-hmm. And what you just said was music to my ears. So all my Christmas money, I'm going to find a way to, make it grow. Yeah, because birthday is coming up. I mean, why not? Why not make the quote unquote sacrifice for tomorrow? It will help you.
Exactly.
Why not? Very good. I love it. Absolutely love it.
All right. You ready to get your calculator out again?
Oh, no.
Get it out, girl.
All right. Well, let me get it ready because before I wasn't quite ready. All right. Yeah. Let me clear because I didn't have it cleared. All right. I'm ready, Professor.
All right, let's do 72 divided by 12 because now we're going to bump our interest rate to 12. So,
Six.
the market's doing pretty good. We're getting a
Yeah.
rate of return of 12%.
Yes.
What do we got?
It's only going to take me 6 years.
6 years. Say it again.
Only going to take me 6 years. I mean, 6 years. Do I deserve? Yes. Oh, this is getting just so good.
You see how important this is. So we went from 3% where it had every 24 years. Then we went from 6% where it had every 12 years. And now with the 12%, now it's every 6 years. So you ready for these numbers? I think it's going to blow your mind.
I'm trying to figure out which. Okay. No.
Still $1,000.
Still $1,000. Okay.
Starting with 1,000.
Interest rates are going up. Then you got to tell me what the interest rates are on these so that we can, talk about. Get them.
Now
I'm ready.
So we're looking at. I'm going to squeeze my eyes. Now, before we were at 4,000 for the 3%, 16,000 for the 6%. Now we're looking at 256,000 with just a different 12% rate of return and the same initial $1,000.
Mm-hmm.
And this is stuff folks don't know about.
And this is where I'm going to get on my soapbox.
Go for it.
Because nobody says this enough for you to understand how it can grow.
Mm-hmm.
This is an excellent conversation about, yes, the interest rate is driving it. However, that's something that's doable. That's you can really get your arms around how that's working because it's going to benefit you in the end. We don't talk about this enough for me.
No,
we just do not. And so I'm grateful that you're having a conversation and teaching me how to use my calculator. So that's good.
All our lives we've been taught, and there's nothing wrong with this because I was the same way. Work hard, put your money in the bank, and save for a rainy day. They never even once talked about making your money work for you. That's something we heard from other people, that other people did it. And, this isn't just something that only rich people do. Like I told you earlier, we have an account where we put $50 a month in.
Yes. And that makes it so doable because all we're saying is that you have an opportunity to take care of yourself with one amount.
Mm-hmm.
You could easily find it, even if you have to work for it for a little while, to take care of yourself in the future. And I think that's the message that we're missing because we're not talking about it as much as we should. Agreed. You put it in the bank. Of course, it's insured by FDIC, but it may not be growing.
No, not in the savings.
No. May not be growing. And so these are the things that we need to just remind people, start today.
And I think also too, it has to do with your cultural background. I've been in this industry for almost 10 years now, and it's taken a while. We're Hispanic. My mom's Hispanic, and it's taken her a while to wrap her mind around this. And I finally convinced her about a year or two ago to let's invest some of your money, Mom. I was like, it's not growing in the bank. I said, I have I can see all her stuff. And I was like, let me just take half of what you have. I'm gonna leave you the other half and let's see which one grows a little bit faster. So every once in a while she's like, how's my money doing?
And I think that's really funny. And I don't know if this is, anything that anyone has ever heard, but I heard somebody mention once that money is shy. Have you ever heard that?
I have not.
Okay. Who knows what YouTube video I was watching at that particular time, but it said money is shy. So you have to really take control over it and tell it, it's okay. We're going to do this. It's okay. Right. We're going to do that. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's the whole idea. And let's see how it works. And her response, how's my money doing? Is like, she wasn't expecting it to be a negative thing.
No,
she wasn't expecting a negative result, but she was happy about it. And I think that means a lot. I think that's why they say money is shy. You have to really have the right attitude towards it, if not to zip out the door. But I love the fact that you looked at, what the possibilities are. And that's what we're saying. And when
they don't know, they don't trust it because they don't know it.
They don't trust it. So this is opening up conversations that somebody should be having a whole lot in their family, but maybe they're just not comfortable with the conversation. They're not comfortable. And somebody might say, well, where am I going to find $1,000? Well, where am I going to find this? Well, let's go back to your budgeting.
Right.
Let's look at your financial success plan and let's see where you are.
Mm-hmm.
You may be surprised at what you have if you just take a look at it. And that's why we're here.
And that's you're so right. And that's the encouraging part. People think they need thousands and thousands of dollars to start when you really don't. And that's, I think, that's a secret, advisors don't tell because, of course, we want to make money off of you. So we're going to go for those. Oh, with just 200,000, guess what I can do for you? I'm going to tell you with just $50, I'm going to tell you what I can do for you.
Right. And yes, if you have the 200,000, that's another conversation.
Right.
But if you do not, and many people do not,
mm-hmm.
then let's talk about what $50 can do for me. Let's talk about what $100 can do for me. And let's talk about how to carve out that $50 and how to carve out that $100. I believe that you should tell adults how we should talk about how to get it done. You said, family's not going to go out that night. We're going to cook and stay in. I say, I'm not going to buy that pocketbook. Or I'm going to use my Christmas money and my birthday money and I'm going to invest in it. And that's the conversation that we can have. Let's think of the possibilities. I like possibilities.
I agree.
I like them because if you're thinking possibilities, then you're probably going to get a lot further than just chopping off. I'm using, crazy words, but we appeal to different types of audience than just ending the conversation and saying, oh, I can't do that. How do you know? Until you sit down and have a real conversation, you may be surprised at what you're capable of doing. You need to have that conversation.
I tell my clients all the time, you are 100% going to retire at some point. That's the goal. Your goal is not to work until your deathbed. No, your goal is you've worked hard. Let's get you to where you can retire and retire with some dignity and not have to stress. Am I going to have enough for food? Am I going to have enough for, my mortgage? Let's have those tough conversations now. So later on, you're going to be more comfortable.
Yes. And you're going to be in a much better place, and I love it because the way we're talking about it it sounds doable. I have my head down like this. It's like, wow, that's doable.
Right. It really is. It's just going to take a little bit of work and a little bit of time. And it's just going to take a little bit of discipline.
Now, I love the key takeaways. Do I get to say them?
Yes.
I love it when we do that. Okay. Start investing early for maximum growth. Excellent advice.
You heard that saying or that song, I wish what I knew when I was younger. I like to sing it at conferences, and then kids these days are just like, what are you talking about? I'm like, oh, forget it.
Yeah,
we knew.
Yeah, we're living in a different world now where people are saying to me like, well, I can be a millionaire overnight. And I'm like, yes, you can, but we're not there yet. So let's at least try to figure out what we're doing before we get there. I'm sure you're going to get there.
And I don't want someone to get discouraged and say, well, I'm too old now. Once again, the point is to just start.
Just start and see what happens. Let's start. Your mom, how's my money doing? I just love that.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, how's it doing?
Well, into her 60s. And she's starting, and I am so happy for her. I'm going to try and get her as much as I can before.
Would you just tell her that I'm proud of her? Please do.
I will.
Okay. Bullet number 2, higher interest rates lead to faster doubling times. We saw that with my calculations. Mm-hmm. Higher interest rates. And there has to be some conversation around which investments will give you a higher interest rate versus those that do not. Right. So that's another conversation that we can have because, there's definitely options out there. Mm-hmm. Tons of options. All right. Let money work for you through compound interest.
We've shown you how if that compounding interest, if the market cooperates, it's going to help your money grow. And the only time you're losing, think about this, is when you take it out.
Yes.
You have that time. If you have that time, let's make it work. If the market goes down, leave it in there. Don't get scared because that's where we make the worst mistake. We're like, oh, the market dropped, 30 points. I need to take my money out. You've just lost all that money because the market dropped. You have time. Let's wait. Let's let it build back up. And let's talk about other options you have available to keep your money
Flawless.
a little bit safer if you're scared of it. There's different options, but
Right.
if you're gonna lose, you're gonna lose when you take it out. You gotta play the long game.
Right. That's great. Excellent advice. Small investments today can lead to significant wealth over time. And I believe this is these are the bullets, and the last statement is the one that really really resonates with me, because this is not a get rich quick scheme.
Not at all.
This is you investing a small amount that you can handle, a small amount that you can take care of, and then trusting it to stay in there until it's matured.
Right. And I think your viewers are gonna get tired of hearing this. It all goes back to your budget. So you know how much you can invest, how much you can start off with, and we're going to find ways to see if you can find other ways to contribute just a little bit more.
Well, I really think that every time we have a conversation, just reiterating the importance of the budget is not necessarily a tiresome place, but that's that's the foundation.
It's the fundamentals.
Yeah, every building is built on a foundation. That foundation has to be there in order for the building to really stand. If not, it's not going to. So just referring back to the budget conversation, and helping people feel comfortable with the budget. I mean, since we've been meeting, I've gone back and done all kinds of analysis, and I'm looking at my little trends of when I spend and when I don't. And I'm like, okay, you're in the next chapter of your life. You're not spending anything else. You're on spending lockdown, and I'm not even mad about it.
No,
I'm kind of happy. I'm like, cool. Let's figure out let's figure out what we're going to do next with what we have.
And I love that you bring that up, Paula, because you don't just set one budget one month and then it's the same every month. You're going to have to tweak it each month. You're going to mess up. We're humans. To human is to err. So we're going to mess up. So we need to review our budget monthly just to make sure we're on the right track, to make sure that's what we need to be at, and get a bigger picture. Okay, well, I know I spent too much on lunch this month. So next month it's pack a lunch to work every day because, I didn't do so great last month. Don't beat yourself up. That's okay. We just need to tweak and make adjustments and learn.
And when you do that monthly, and with Christmas, Christmas is always a time of January, you really get the reality of what's going on in life. But a lot of people are getting their income tax back, and this is a great time for them to think about investments. Working on and reviewing it monthly. Don't be afraid to look at those statements. Don't be afraid to look at it. Take a deep breath, but still look at it. And really analyze. Am I on budget? And what triggers? Now, we talked about triggers a little bit. What's triggering my spending habits? I make a pretty good chicken salad. Rotisserie chicken. I do. So if I'm spending a little bit more on lunch, I'll just get my chicken salad going. And you see what I'm saying?
Right.
You have the opportunity to provide some solutions if you're willing. It's like God. Nobody's going to force you, but it's just a grand opportunity for you so that you can increase your value of life, because a lot of people, as we said in the first show, they lose sleep over their finances.
Yes, I agree. And I love the fact that you brought up, your tax returns. A lot of people are like, free money, let's blow it. Then they're done that, loved it.
Of course we have.
But let's think of our tax return a little bit differently. Maybe we can save half of it, and let's do something different with that half. And you still want to treat yourself. That's not free money, y'all. You've worked hard for that all year long. It's not free money. That's hard-earned money. All I can say is let's try to use it a little bit more wisely sometimes.
I think that's great advice. That's why I think it's just great timing to have the financial conversation. We said it would be part 4. We're going to come up with another plan for next month because there's more to discuss. And I know that it's really helping me, and I know it's helping someone else because I had a conversation with someone, and you never know who's listening and whose daughter or son's listening.
Mm-hmm.
And they're sharing the information. This is a ministry. This is a passion. Everybody doesn't have that anointing, but I think you do. And I think you've done a great job of having some good discussions I'm excited. I'm happy. I will go back to the first show and all of the shows to date. And there've been so many nuggets that you've shared that's helped me to go back and nod my head and say, okay, let's go back and restructure this a little bit better. Lots of options. Thank you so much, Noel. What else do we have? We only have a few minutes, but that's okay. Let's take a couple of minutes. Was a little late. So, how do you feel, Noel? What do we need to share? What else do we need to share just overall with our folks?
I just feel that we just need to share, it's at a place coming out of love. We don't need to beat ourselves up about it. And you know what? Sometimes we need that help. Have an accountability partner. That's always a good idea. And it's going to be somebody who loves you, who's not going to be judgmental. I think you mentioned you knew somebody who's very good with money, but projected themselves completely wrong. Don't find that person if you know that's not going to help you, because that's going to be a trigger point for you and it's going to deter you from doing what you need to do. Find a loving person who's going to be that accountability partner. If it's your spouse or if it's your mother, someone in your family, and just say, hey, I don't want to give you all my details, but I didn't reach my goal this month. And have a conversation and talk it out.
Yeah, talk it out. Because you might find that the root cause, and this is really important, that the root cause may be something that's happening to you more often. Like I think I said something to you before we got started that I had a trigger today, one of my triggers, and I took care of it. But however, some people may not even be able to connect their triggers, emotional triggers, to their spending habits.
I agree. And so that's good because you have somebody outside looking in. And remember, if they're telling you this, don't kill the messenger. Let it marinate, let it soak, let you, pray on it and say, okay, well, maybe they might be right.
Maybe they might be right. And that's great. And the understanding that you have options. So take control of what you have. And let's look at what your options are. And let's get some really good advice. Let's get some wisdom. And I keep talking about emotional triggers because that's probably been my biggest issue. A lot of people just emotionally making emotional decisions and they're wearing themselves out. Take a breather, take a break. Calm yourself down. Give that person the benefit of the doubt. And let's look at this from a logical and from a wisdom standpoint. Let's get some wisdom in here.
Yeah. And I want to encourage people, find someone who's, like-minded to you, or maybe at the next level, because if you find someone who's not where they need to be and maybe struggling and in debt and living paycheck to paycheck and have credit cards, up to their elbows, that might not be the right person for you. Now, if they've come through all that and they've surpassed it and they've overcome and came over that hill, then that person might be the right person for me. You want to make sure you're choosing someone, and choose, like you said, choose somebody who's a little bit wiser, who's, going to help you get through this season of life.
And there are people out there, and you may not know who they are until you start talking to them, and they say, oh, wow, 6 years ago, I was in this place and I read a book or I connected with someone really cool. And now my entire life has changed within X number of years. That's what you want. This is a great time for the overhaul. It's a great time. The timing is awesome. Great time for this conversation. Noel, I'm very happy. I know that the power transformation train has been just rolling and sailing with the compound interest conversation, but you know what we have to do. We probably have maybe a couple of minutes. So those nuggets were good. What other advice do you have for us to prepare for the next time? Because we know we're going to have this conversation more often.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, if any of your viewers want me to shoot them a budget sheet, I'd be more than happy to sit down and talk with them. Once again, I'd be more than happy to. All they have to do is email me. That's right up there. And kind of just start
with the budget. Start with the budget. And I did try. Can I say I did try something the other day?
Oh, tell me.
I'm so happy. You know how we discussed having an envelope for the grocery?
Yes.
I had one.
How did it go?
It went well. I was so self-conscious of the amount that was in it. I'm like, you are not walking around this grocery store going down every aisle. You're going to get exactly what's on the list because that's what you need. And I felt kind of accomplished.
Did you feel you missed out on anything?
No, absolutely not. And I think, you just hit it. Okay, so how much time we have? Couple of minutes.
It's your show.
Don't be desperate. Don't get into that desperate place. I honestly think that when I'm desperate and I'm making it personal, I'm like, oh my God, honey, forget it. That those noodles will be whole grain noodles will be there next week and maybe on sale.
Yeah.
So think about how that little envelope is just helping you save up for your $1,000. Because if you're walking up up and down every aisle, up and down every aisle, up and down every aisle, and the swiping's there, I was a little bit more self-conscious about what was in the envelope. It just says grocery. And I'm like, okay.
Yep. It's funny because my husband makes fun of me because I'll want something. And he's like, oh, go get it. I said, nope, it's not on sale. He's like, are you really not going to get it because it's not on sale? I said, absolutely. I don't need it. I'll wait till it goes on sale. It's not in our budget today.
And, it's not a negative thing. And a lot of us think of it as a negative thing, but it's not, because sometimes it's the very next week it's going to go on sale. I have the app on my phone. It'll tell me what's on sale. And sometimes we're just so accustomed to certain things until we don't feel like the change is going to help us. Try it.
Yep. Your success story. I love that you got out of your comfort zone and you tried the envelope system.
Now I had to get a cute envelope though. It wasn't your regular white envelope because that was not going to do it for me. I had to get one of those cute ones with something on it,
Next show you're gonna have to show us the envelope.
I'd say the envelope, because but it's okay. Whatever effort that's needed, I did it. Now I'm going to tell you something else. I know we got to go. We also talked about, this is great conversation, your income and all your income opportunities. Now, my second income-based business has really kind of gone strong within the past week.
That's good.
I think I've shifted my paradigm to what I can do versus what I'm not doing.
Nothing wrong with the side hustle.
You see what's happening? And some of us could use a little side hustle to kind of give us an awareness of, what else we like to do that will actually bring in and make that income a lot more just solid. I might have 2 grocery envelopes. I may not need them. I'll take one at a time, but maybe not. And I'll take that other envelope and just place it in an investment opportunity or pay off some debt. The possibilities are within our reach. If you just put your email back up there again.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, Noel, we got to turn the train around. The power transformation train is coming back for the sake, but she's kind of chugging along, kind of happy this time, and I'm just going to push the brakes. And I'm going to say, to everyone what I say every week this time, that you have to trust the process. The power transformation broadcast is based on an excerpt from Romans 12:2 that said, be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. The renewing of my mind was to take that really cute envelope and put my grocery money in it. It's just that simple. The renewing of your mind was to say to your son, we're only going to spend half of this because this is for your future. That changes the paradigm, changes the verbiage, changes the narrative for something better. So with that said, we're going to have to say goodbye for now. But we're going to be back next week. And of course, Noel's going to be back. And we're going to continue this amazing financial conversations because she has really a lot more to share. And guess what we're going to do? We're going to let her share it. Okay? So thank you for joining us. We love you. And we'll see you next week. Everybody take care. Bye-bye.